Record. Okay, everyone. So welcome to this month's breakdown of the May 2025 astrology. I'm going to pull up our chart here and we'll see if it shares right away. Can you guys see the screen? Yeah, okay. Sometimes with Zoom, we never know. So here we are today. It is May 3rd, so we're pretty close to the beginning of the month. This month, Saturday fell early in the month, which is good. So we are still kind of in this Venus-Neptune conjunction, which is very interesting because we did have this conjunction, about a month and a half ago, but that was when Neptune and Venus were still in Pisces. And that is, Pisces is Venus's exaltation sign. It is Neptune's dignity sign. So when those two were together in Pisces, it was just like really powerful spiritual energy, very much just focused right on on compassion and selflessness and like beautiful art, the imagination, right? All those things. So while we still have Venus and Neptune together, and they do work well together, as planets. But now they are in Aries, which, as we know, Aries is a completely different vibe than Pisces is, right? Aries is the sign of the warrior. It is passionate, intense, fast, meaning like speedy. Aries likes to go fast. It can be impatient. It's competitive. It is, yeah, the sign of the warrior. So with Venus and Neptune meeting up here now, which it will do off and on, right, for the next, 14 years with Neptune and Aries, we'll have to start to pay attention to what starts to come up when these two planets meet up. Some things I was thinking, like bold artwork, or maybe like music comes out or a film comes out that's like very visually intense or bright colors, but also maybe there's something like aggressive about the story, or it's like a crime film, or I don't know, something that feels very Aries, like Aries art to me. But yeah, so we'll just kind of have to see. I'm still kind of looking for headlines over the next couple days about what this could start to bring up. But I mean, Venus and Neptune in general, the good thing about it is, yes, enhances, right, more feelings of compassion, selflessness, understanding. It's kind of like that very euphoric state of love, right? Like love that conquers all, love that transcends all. So yeah, it is a nice day, or, yesterday going into today, tomorrow, just a nice day to, appreciate, the people in your life, tell people you love them, do nice things for people. That's the good thing about this energy. The downside, we can get Neptune can sometimes, right, kind of bring in the smoke and mirrors, right? So there could also be, deception of some kind. It's also good to just be paying close attention to things right now over the next couple of days, especially when it comes to your relationships or people that you meet, because Venus, right, can represent relationships, people, also finances, right? Also money. So just, be checking your bank statements, make sure you didn't accidentally get charged for something, that kind of stuff with Neptune. Neptune and Venus. Also, I wouldn't sign any like major serious contracts right now. I would kind of wait for them to separate a little bit more before you like sign anything permanently. Because again, Neptune can kind of cause confusion or things not being super clear. And then you agree to something and then realize, oh, that's not what I thought I was agreeing to. So that is that. That's kind of what we're still in today. Oh, and then I also do want to mention, because obviously the end of the month, right, April, we had some pretty, yeah, significant news stories happen. And a lot of that does have to do with Saturn still being very close to the North Node, okay? whenever we have planets making aspects, particularly conjunctions, squares, oppositions with the lunar nodes, we usually see some big things happen in the world. The nodes, again, no, they're not planets. They are just points in the sky, but they are very sensitive points. And a lot of stuff gets reflected back on Earth when planets are passing them or making, intense aspects to them. So we have had Saturn conjunct the North Node, meaning it's also opposing the South Node. Okay, and what did we have? We had the death of the Pope. We have had, earthquakes. We have had, just and earthquakes, actually, specifically earthquakes, very common when these nodes get activated. That is, I've actually personally done research on this, where I've looked up some of the world's biggest earthquakes, looked at the charts, and the nodes are always in play, whether it's like Saturn conjunct the North Node, Saturn square the North Node, Mars conjunct the North Node. Anyways, they're always kind of there when big earthquakes and those kinds of things happen, which is interesting. So we could still see some more things coming because of this, as Saturn is still kind of close by here. Okay, let's move to tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to have the quarter moon, that lovely second quarter moon, which is going to be the sun in Taurus, squaring the moon in Leo. So this is really about, a conflict between wanting to express ourselves, right? That creative side of us, that Leo side of us, maybe craving more attention, or maybe just wanting to have more fun. And again, just be very expressive, more creative, more artistic. And then the sun in Taurus, kind of wanting to still like buckle down, do the Taurus thing, slow down, get the work done. Don't rush to things, and keep things stable. So that could just kind of be the two different directions we feel pulled in tomorrow. But the thing about, these quarter moons is, yes, they are squares, and yes, squares are challenging, but they can also help to push us, right? There is something that is good about tension, is it can help push us to, do the thing that we've kind of been sitting on. So maybe tomorrow is the day that you guys, some of you might decide, yeah, I'm finally going to take the first step and do that thing I've been putting off. Okay, now tomorrow too. I keep forgetting because it's coming up so fast. Tomorrow we also have Pluto stationing retrograde. Pluto will be retrograde in Aquarius now tomorrow through October 14th. We get a good long chunk of time with Pluto retrograde. Okay, and remember, especially when the outer planets go retrograde, because they're so slow moving, and when they're retrograde, they're even slower. It's really about turning inward, okay? It's when the energies of the planets get very internal, and it's more about like what's going on inside of us. It also has to do with, right, reflection, right? So reflecting on the Pluto things in our lives, okay, over the next few months. This can be, reflecting on where you've been resisting change, where you've been clinging to control, or maybe where you've been repressing fears of some kind, or repressing feelings even that you haven't wanted to deal with. So Pluto retrograde is a really good time to kind of confront those things that maybe you've been putting off, those things you've been repressing. Looking at the power dynamics in your life, looking at your own relationship with power. Have you been empowering yourself in your life, or have you been disempowering yourself? Or have you been giving your power away to others? And now it's time to like refocus that and bring that power back to yourself. So yeah, during Pluto retrograde periods, sometimes we can experience more power struggles in our life, but that's just because it's coming to the surface. It's like, oh, I need to deal with this now. Yeah, I also say this is a good time, right, to purge, right? Because that's a part. Pluto is about purging and elimination, taking out the trash. Okay, but this means internally, emotionally. What emotional baggage have we been holding on to that stinks now? Because it's rotting garbage. Pluto says take it out, get rid of it. Okay, and then, on the more collective level, right? It's Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, so, we might see issues with technology, with AI, where maybe it's not so much about those things flowing, but more about, oh, these are some issues now. Now we've got to figure out, what to do with this AI. We've come up against kind of the shadow side of AI, the shadow side of technology. But also too, right? Revolution is a big part of Aquarius. So over the next few months, people could feel collectively that internal need to revolt. Like, we've got to change things. Maybe there's a way we can come together and, and fight or stand up for ourselves, and obviously there's enough fueling that with the situation we're in this country. So that will be interesting to see too, if people's internal need for change intensifies to the point where everyone really is out in the streets. So also too, yeah, you can look in your own charts, right? And look at where, so Pluto is going to be going retrograde from 3 degrees, and it will retrograde down to 1 degree of Aquarius, okay? So you can look at your own chart. Where is that in your chart? 1 to 3 degrees of Aquarius. What house does that fall in? Or maybe it's going to fall in 2 houses. But what are those houses? Because that area of your life could be too, where some shadow stuff comes up, where there's some, things you've been repressing that come up that need to be dealt with, or power issues, right, related to that house come up. Like if it is going to be Pluto retrograding your 7th house and you're married, then yeah, some power issues in your marriage could come up for you to deal with. That's just an example. Okay, good. So then we're going to move to the 6th, where we have Mercury and Chiron. Okay, let's get it exact here. Mercury and Chiron conjunct in Aries. So Mercury, right, planet of communication, how we express ourselves intellectually, verbally, with language. Chiron, the wounded healer, right? So where we might have some insecurities, some things we're extra sensitive about, where we might need some healing. So Mercury and Chiron, coming together could also be just like, having a difficult conversation. Maybe it's difficult while you're having it, but by the end of that conversation, there's some kind of healing. This wound gets healed. Or it could just be you have a conversation that just triggers something inside of you that brings up a past hurt, brings up a past wound. But again, remember, when a past wound comes up, that's an opportunity to deal with it, right? And be like, okay, this is coming up. Instead of ignoring it or pretending it's not coming up, I'm going to deal with it, because if I deal with it, then I can release it. But yeah, there could be, issues around anger. Like if you're someone who feels uncomfortable with anger, you could get provoked today. And that anger, or on this day, on May 6th, and that anger comes up, and no, you might not like it, but you should deal with it if it's coming up. Yeah, could be just, or even maybe memories that are painful, or memories from your past come up that make you feel, like, oh, why did I, why was I mean to myself about this? I should have been thoughtful about it. I should have spoken kindly to myself instead of putting myself down when I went through that really painful experience. Yeah, and or just literally someone could just say something hurtful today. That could be just a very literal translation of this energy. So, but if that does happen, that's, more that person's issue than yours. Okay, and then we go to the 10th. May 10th, we have Mercury ingress into Taurus. Okay, so Mercury in Taurus, we're slowing things down a little bit. Our thoughts and communication become more deliberate. We're more meticulous. We are able to think things through more thoroughly, to take our time with making decisions. Okay, because Taurus energy is very practical. Again, very practical, very logical, very methodical. So Mercury, communication, that's sort of where that energy goes. And this will be through May 10th through June 9th. So we have about a month of Mercury in Taurus. But something else Mercury in Taurus is good for. Yeah, it's good for like, planning, getting organized, dealing with anything related to your finances or resources. But it's also good for sensory learning, right? Because Taurus rules the senses. So like this chunk of 4 weeks, like take an art class, take a gardening class, take a cooking class, something that engages your senses, because you're more likely to retain that knowledge while Mercury is in Taurus. And it's just a nice way to experience this placement. The only, tricky thing, the only downside to Mercury in Taurus is sometimes it can make us a little more rigid, meaning Taurus is very stubborn. We can get very, like, this is my idea and I'm not going to change it. We can get a little stuck in our own opinions. So it's good to remember, okay, I want to be stuck here, but I'm going to try to be a little more open-minded. I'm going to try to be a little more flexible, even if I'm like really wanting to, hold on to what I believe. That can be the only thing really with Mercury and Taurus, just extra stubbornness and not wanting to listen to anyone else's ideas but our own. Okay, then on the 12th, we have our first lunation of the month. We have our full moon in Scorpio. And I do think, it's so funny when it's, it's Taurus season and it's like springtime and things are blooming and people are in a better mood, the sun's out. But then we always get, every Taurus season, we do get this very heavy, intense Scorpio moon, right? Which is just like a little check-in to like, okay, but like, how are you really feeling? What's really going on right now? And this will be exact at 22, okay? At 22 degrees Scorpio, the full moon. And, the Scorpio full moon, intense, emotional, right? Feeling things really deeply on this moon. This is a really good moon to have a good cry, right? Have a really good purge, a good release of something. Definitely a good moon to cut out anything toxic in your life, right? People, jobs, situations, I don't know, whatever it is, anything. And especially too, because Scorpio, right, does have to do with power dynamics. What in your life is making you feel less than? What in your life is making you feel disempowered? Get rid of it. Get rid of it and reclaim your power with this full moon. Okay, this moon can also, right, because full moons also illuminate, right? So secrets, Scorpio loves to keep secrets, but when it's a full moon in Scorpio, those secrets can get exposed. It's like We're bringing the darkness into the light. So again, too, you know, fears that you might have been suppressing could get exposed on this moon. Yeah, and it's also about, right, leaning into vulnerability, not being afraid to let people see who you really are. Take the mask off. Yeah, so also with this moon, you know, too, and you can look at where's 22 degrees Scorpio in your chart, right? Because that could be the area of life where it's like something comes up, right, that needs to be dealt with. Some dark thing comes up and I've got to deal with it. Or it can just be a call to just embrace, again, right? Embrace vulnerability, embrace your emotions. Make friends with whatever you've been afraid of. Okay, that's what Scorpio wants us to do. Okay, so also for this moon, we look to the ruler. Okay, so the ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. So what's Pluto doing today? Pluto is retrograde and making a square to Mercury. Okay, so yeah, this can be a tough conversation we have today, but this conversation also does give us an opportunity for healing. Okay, because that is the plus side of Scorpio. Yeah, it pulls out like what's, you know, maybe we're afraid of or something that's painful, but then we're able to heal it and transform it, right, into something better, into something good. So healing conversations, although maybe they're going to be difficult at first, the best outcome of that is some kind of healing, some kind of understanding. You know, there is potential, you know, Pluto square Mercury can be manipulation, can be mind games, again, can be like weird power dynamics. So that could be something that comes up personally or something, you know, we see in the news around this time, something about manipulation or, you know, something, or even, yeah, more secrets being exposed. Secrets that someone really didn't want exposed, right? Like some kind of scandal could come out around this time. Also, too, it does a little bit make me think maybe some AI story, like AI gone wrong or technology gone wrong, robots gone wrong, just because it is Aquarius, right? Pluto and Aquarius, and Mercury also connected to technology. So yeah, something we'll pay attention to. Okay, then on the 17th, okay, the 17th, we have our Uranus-Sun conjunction. Okay, Uranus and the Sun meet up at 27 degrees of Taurus. Uranus Sun energy is usually like something just kind of unexpected, right? Like maybe we just feel more spontaneous on this day. It's very much energy that like wants excitement, like let's do something different, let's try something new, do something spontaneous. It's also, you know, it's very social energy. Uranus and the Sun coming together kind of makes us want to be like, get in touch with our community, go do a group event, go meet up with friends. It's really good social energy. With it being in Taurus, there is potential for, yeah, some kind of like sudden change, something unexpected having to do with, yeah, resources, finances. You know, yeah, I would be paying attention to the stock market around this time. But could also be some kind of breakthrough, something positive, some kind of, and Uranus again is also connected to technology. We could get some kind of financial breakthrough or, you know, something related to agriculture, some kind of invention, or we've discovered this new kind of, I don't know, way to grow mushrooms, it's going to be helpful. I don't know. That's a very, just silly example, but something innovative related to currency, resources, agriculture could also come up during this day. Okay, on the 19th. Okay, the 19th, and I already kind of prepped you guys because I talked about the Saturn being close to the North Node. So by May 19th, Jupiter will exactly square the nodes, okay? Jupiter in Gemini will make a square to the North Node in Pisces and a square to the South Node in Virgo. Okay, and I did want to include this in the forecast because I do know that those nodes are sensitive points. Now, does it mean I actually don't think the things that happen with the nodes usually don't happen the exact day that it's the exact square? I would think maybe we see something in the days leading up to this square, or maybe in the days after this square, but May 19th is when it is exact, okay? So Jupiter, what's interesting, Jupiter, right, is increase. Jupiter magnifies, grows, increases, whatever it comes in contact with, okay? And that's also what the North Node does. The North Node is also about increase or about like moving forward, right? That's the direction we're going in, where the South Node is more like decrease, letting go, because that's old, that's in the past. So with Jupiter squaring the North Node, it's like something increases, but like too much. It's like really quick increase, really fast, where people maybe can't keep up with it. And because it's Gemini and Pisces, this could be like some kind of weird information overload. People are exposed to a lot of information at once and they can't keep up with it. But it's also confusing. There's also could be something where people don't know what's true. Some story that comes out. Is it true? Is it not true? Right? Gemini versus Pisces. Is it a fantasy? Is it something made up? Is it a projection? Is it a conspiracy theory? Or is it the actual facts? Also too, yeah, could this be an earthquake thing? Yes. Could be some kind of natural disaster thing. Could involve water because it's North Node in Pisces, but it's also South Node in Virgo. Could be, yeah, an earthquake, something having to do with earth or material structures in some way. Yeah. So I'm just curious what's gonna be going on the middle of May. With Jupiter activating these nodes. And yeah, personally, if you have anything, right, immutable signs, and I'm just realizing, oh yeah, this is when my Jupiter is literally at 25 Sagittarius. So this is actually kind of hitting my chart pretty spot on, and I just realized that. So that's interesting. But if you've got anything immutable signs around 25 degrees, I would make note of that for the month of May. If you've got anything in Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, or Virgo, around 25 degrees. Yeah, and just for around this day, for all of us personally, yeah, just watch out for the Pisces stuff. Watch out for deception, confusion, things sound too good to be true. Just be like extra thorough with anything that comes to you that seems like, is this really true? Or should I? No, yeah, you should research it. Don't take everything at face value around this time. Oh, yeah. And I did think about too, with Virgo's connection to health. Health and food. Virgo is connected to food when we think about, right? Like, because it's the sign of the harvest, right? So I was thinking this could be a rapid decrease in, I don't know, medical supplies or, or supply chains or food crops of some kind. Hope it's not that. but that is kind of what I thought about when I thought of Virgo, with Jupiter and Virgo. Okay, now we are going to our fourth quarter moon, which is going to be, this one's interesting because it's going to be right at 29 degrees. Let me scooch the moon back. Okay, so it's going to be the moon at 29 degrees Aquarius, the sun at 29 degrees of Taurus. Okay, so it's right before the sun is going to ingress into Gemini, but it is going to exactly square the moon. And some of you have heard me say this before, the 29th degree is potent, okay? Just like the 0 degree, the very first degree of a sign, and the very final degree of a sign, they hold more weight, right? Because it's the threshold. It's right before we're going to go into a different energy. So there's just like, yeah, a lot of energy concentrated there. So this day, yeah, I mean, like collectively, globally, something big could happen on this day. With this 29 degrees. And it's, Taurus and Aquarius. These are not super warm and fuzzy signs, especially when they're squaring each other. This is a moon that very much doesn't want to be bothered, just wants to be left to its own devices, leave me alone. I don't feel like socializing today. It's kind of cold. A moon in Aquarius getting a square is kind of cold energy. And then the moon in Taurus, sun in Taurus, just kind of focused on the stability, right? Like, well, I don't really care how you feel, just like, did you bring the money? Is kind of what that makes me think of. So just kind of focused on the material things, the necessities. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So yeah, on this day, personally, we might feel just a little more just like, I just want to deal with the business in front of me. I don't want to get involved in any emotional drama, other people's problems. I kind of just want to do my own thing today.
Tara, excuse me, Tara, what date
Yes.
are we talking here? What date are you on?
This is May 20th.
May 20th, thank you.
Yeah, and you might feel kind of coldness from other people on this day. If you talk to a friend and they seem kind of cold and distant, don't take it personally. It's probably this moon in Aquarius getting squared by the sun. Okay, so then this happens kind of, right? This happens at like 5 a.m. Okay, then as we move through the day, yeah, there's still going to be that square energy, but then it's going to shift. The moon's then going to move into Pisces. The sun's going to move into Gemini, but there still will be that square. Where is our sun? Okay, so here's our sun now in Gemini later in the day on May 20th. So yay, okay, we're in Gemini season now, May 20th through June 20th. Okay, sun in Gemini. Gemini season is overall, right? It's very, it's lighthearted. Gemini is like the child. Gemini just wants to make jokes, have fun, tell stories, exchange information, learn new things, go on day trips, right? Gemini is local travel, so that's why I say day trips. But it's also, right? Gemini is an air sign, and it's also a mutable sign, which is constantly both of these things on the go. Gemini really is the sign that loves mobility the most, I would say. Like Gemini just does not want to sit down and be still. It's like, I got to look at the next thing. I got to go check out something else. It's just right, endless curiosity, Gemini. So, well, how can we apply that to ourselves, to our own lives? It's a great time to be curious. What are you curious about? Go explore those things. What do you want to learn? What kind of class or workshop do you want to sign up for? Or what online thing do you want to learn? Gemini really does embrace knowledge and learning things. And also just sharing information in general. having conversations with people, right? It's a good time to just like talk, to write, to speak, to share your thoughts, right? Yeah, writing too. Gemini season, great time to be writing things if you're a writer or you want to write something. Because all of that intellectual energy is super activated. Okay, the other thing, I want to talk about, yeah, Gemini, very social, right? So yeah, again, connecting with community, with friends, Gemini season's great for. Gemini is also duality, right? Gemini is the twins. So Gemini can bring up, the duality within ourselves. And specifically, Gemini's, like if you are a Gemini, right? Most Geminis really do relate to feeling like they have two very different parts of themselves. Marilyn Monroe, very famous Gemini. She, throughout her whole life, she kind of had these two personas. She had Norma Jean, right? The girl, the orphaned girl she grew up as, and then Marilyn, who was the movie star, who was something totally different. But she kind of struggled with those two identities her whole life. And that is common for people born with Sun in Gemini, these two parts of themselves. But how do we honor both sides of ourselves? And how do we find the compromise, and how do we adapt? That's also Gemini, is like adapting, right? Here's some change. Instead of ignoring it, how can you adapt to it? The other thing, with Gemini, the only, again, because every sign has its, right, has its challenges. Gemini can be overstimulated, right? Gemini can be like overly busy to where it's like, wait, what was I focusing on? I don't even remember. So that's the only thing Gemini season, we might have to work a little bit harder at just like remembering to focus, right? There's all these things going on, but I'm going to start with this one thing on my list. I'm going to buckle down and get it done. Then I'll move on to the next thing, right? Gemini really likes to tempt us with distractions. It is the sign most likely to like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? So yeah, so focus is what we just have to keep in mind during Gemini season, to not, don't sign up for too many classes that you're overwhelmed. Okay, on the 24th, we have our Mercury-Uranus conjunction. Also, yes, also at 27 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is often referred to as the higher vibration of Mercury. Okay, so yes, Mercury is communication, thought, intellect, and Uranus too is about some of those things. It's also about change, right? And technology, changing things. But it also too is mental. These are both mental planets, okay? So when they come together, yeah, it's very innovative energy. This is a day we could have some kind of mental breakthrough, right? Those like, aha, I figured it out. Or, getting a problem solved that you've been working on. Could also just be having really interesting conversations with these two very intellectual planets meeting up. Could be you might get some kind of inspiration out of nowhere. You might get a really great idea out of nowhere, right? That's also Uranus, unexpected. It kind of just showed, didn't see it coming, but it showed up. So yeah, we could learn something unexpected today. You could get some news that you weren't expecting. Collectively too, yeah, this could be some kind of scientific breakthrough that we see today, again in Taurus. So maybe it has to do with resources or currency or, technology, well, the technology part with Uranus, but agriculture, again, some kind of breakthrough though, information breakthrough, new information gets revealed. Oh boy, and I keep forgetting what we have on this day as well, the the big kahuna of the month. Okay, wait for it, wait for it. Here we go. Saturn moves into Aries. May 24th. Saturn moves into Aries for the first time since April of 1996. Okay, so about every 30 years, we get Saturn in Aries. Okay, and if some of you, if you attended my lecture where we broke down, you know, a lot of this transit, then you already kind of know what I'm going to say. But yeah, Saturn in Aries, right? So Saturn is the planet of structure, right? Structure, rules, maturity, reality, right? Saturn is sober energy. Saturn is the voice that says, no, wait, did you do it right? You have to follow the rules. Okay. Saturn, and then in Aries, right? Our planet of war, aggression, competition, being first. Right? Yeah, it's more, but Aries can be violent energy, but it's also very passionate, it's very creative, right? Again, it's fast, it's very fast moving energy. So it will be interesting to see what kind of comes up. You know, the themes, you know, that I've reflected on, and this will be a, you know, transit that lasts about 2 years. Okay. So for us personally, heightened focus on self-discipline, right? Aries too. Aries is about the self, our individual selves, our individual identities. So heightened focus on self-discipline, taking initiative in personal growth. We might feel more compelled to take responsibility for our actions, for our own lives. Okay, and be more serious, take our goals more seriously. But then just some, you know, themes that I just think of when I think of these two planets coming together, and themes we could see, yeah, over the next 2 years. Organized military, hard-won competitions, self-discipline, self-endurance, individualism, long battles, burning bridges, structured attacks, calculated decisiveness, long-term projects, forced patience, focused creativity, maturity through action, head-on challenges, and profound firsts. Okay, because again, it's Aries. Aries likes to be first. It is the first sign of the zodiac. So usually when planets are in Aries, we can get firsts of things. And something I did realize too, just looking back, yeah, I can say these. So looking back at 1996 with this placement, these were some big news stories, okay? We had the birth of the first cloned mammal, Dolly the sheep. And how fitting is that? Aries, Aries the ram, Dolly the sheep, okay? The House impeachment of President Bill Clinton, the O.J. Simpson trial, the signing of the Oslo Accords. So again, there's Palestine, Israel stuff going on. And that's 30 years later, that is going on again. NASA's Pathfinder landed on Mars, which also is funny, right? Because Aries, Mars rules Aries. So that's cute. But something that did occur to me is with the O.J. Simpson trial, right? We had the O.J. Simpson trial in 1996. This year, we are going to have the Puff Daddy trial. Okay, so kind of interesting. I don't know why, but it's two, right? Two very prominent Black men having these trials, 30 years apart. Not sure what that has to do with Saturn and Aries, but it is kind of interesting. That's kind of being repeated in a different way. And, you know, when we did have Neptune go into Aries, Thank God we did not have civil war breakout like the last time we had Neptune in Aries during the Civil War, but we did have trade wars breakout, right? Again, Aries war. So because Saturn is the planet, right, is the adult, I'm kind of hoping maybe Saturn in Aries will bring some stability to that trade war chaos that kind of started when Neptune went into Aries. So I'm being optimistic about that. I'm not sure, because also Saturn and Neptune meeting up is, it's like, is Neptune going to make Saturn disappear? Is Neptune going to wash the Saturn energy away and overpower it? Or is Saturn going to dominate Neptune? And like, no, we don't have time to do the Neptune thing. We got to get serious here. So again, we just kind of, I mean, I have ideas of what this could look like, but we don't have any absolute certainty. We can just, right, look back at history. So yes, too, you want to look at where is 0 degrees Aries in your chart, in your natal chart. Okay, because that's where Saturn is going to be for the next 2.5 years. What house is that for you? That house is where you're going to be developing discipline, or where you should be developing discipline, where you should be taking more responsibility. Okay. If you do those Saturn things when Saturn is in that house, it's going to go much more smoothly for you. Saturn will be able to help you instead of make things feel more heavy or more slowed down or more difficult. And for anyone, if you didn't get to attend my lecture, and if you are more curious about going deeper into Neptune and Aries, Saturn and Aries, you can buy the recording of the lecture or the slides. So you can let me know if anybody wants those. Okay, May 25th. May 25th, Mercury ingresses into Gemini. Okay, this is good news. Mercury will be in Gemini for about 3 weeks. Okay, yeah, through June 8th. Okay, we'll have Mercury in Gemini. This is good news because Mercury rules Gemini, right? Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So whenever Mercury's in one of those signs, it's playtime. It's I'm home. I get to do what I love to do the most, right? So Mercury in Gemini, again, our mental clarity, mental agility, our ability to learn, to communicate, to write just gets like put on steroids. It's like super fast, super powerful, super bright and clear mental energy. Okay, so again, any writers or anyone who wants to do, teach something, speak on something, go on a podcast, start a podcast, anything having to do with language, communication, teaching, really lean into that for these couple weeks at the end of May into early June. Okay, because that is what Mercury in Gemini does best. Okay, there's also, right, overall, conversations will have more flow. Conversations will be easier during this time. Okay, there will also probably be like, some humor. You might hear some good jokes, or you might think of some good jokes, because Gemini does rule humor. And Mercury in Gemini, very witty. It's just like, oh yeah, I got that zinger came to me, that one-liner came to me, and it was really funny. You might just laugh more, okay? People might make you laugh more with Mercury in Gemini. But again, only downside is too many thoughts, too much mental energy, too many things going on that I want to learn this, I want to do that, I want to talk about this, blah, 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 all these interests, right? So with that, just remember, yeah, if you're feeling kind of like that mental overstimulation, you can't turn off your brain, right? Have some good tools to use, meaning like go outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk, without looking at your phone, right? Do some breath work, do a meditation for 10 minutes. Just remember those things if you feel like the Mercury Gemini is just making your brain too busy. There are things we can do to help calm that down. Okay, then we have the 26th. Okay, where we are going to have our new moon, yes, in Gemini. So this day is like, ooh, so much Gemini. We've got the moon and the sun at 6 degrees. Okay, and right, Gemini, new moon in Gemini, new beginnings, right? New moons are always new beginnings, setting intentions. Okay, so if you want to be a better writer, a better teacher, a better communicator, you know, set that intention on May 26th with the new moon in Gemini. Also, you know, remember, words are a wand, meaning what we speak, we can speak things into existence, right? Words can shape our reality. So this is also a good day if you want to get really specific, use your words, use your language to, yeah, what do you want to call into your life? Say those words out loud, write them down. I would write them down and say them out loud. This is like, yeah, a great day for a word spell. Speak what you want into existence, okay? Because bonus, we also have the ruler of this moon, Mercury, in Gemini, conjunct the sun and the moon. So again, like our words today literally are magic. It's like, whew, lightning bolts. So strong, so powerful. So today, yeah, also a good day. You're probably going to have really great conversations on this day. This is a day that I would look up if there are any classes or any group activities you can participate in today, because they're probably going to be like, go really well. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this was, I learned so much. Oh, I met all these great people. Like it's going to be a positive experience. Yeah, and we also have, you know, Uranus is in Taurus, but Mercury is still close by. We still have a little bit of this conjunction as well. So again, just like so much mental power on this day. Okay, then we have the 27th. On the 27th, oh, let's move Mercury back a teeny bit. Okay, we are going to have Mercury trine Pluto. Okay, trine aspects mean these two planets are working well together. Okay, because they're both in the same element. We have Gemini and Aquarius, both air signs. So again, this is a great day for, yeah, for like deep conversations, meaningful conversations, for doing, yeah, journal exercises, shadow work. This is really good for that. Also to like any research, anything that you just like really want to hyper focus on this day, Pluto is very helpful for that. Gives us the ability to like really focus and kind of get rid of any of those maybe lingering Gemini distractions. And again, it's air, so it is still very intellectual. This is like intellectual power still carrying through today, all around this day on May 27th. Okay, and lastly, it's just so much Gemini at the end of May, you guys. Then we have the Mercury Sun Cazimi, okay, on the, actually, excuse me, on the 29th. Okay, that means Mercury and the sun conjunct at 8 degrees of Gemini. And Cazimi means heart of the sun. Okay, this is when when Mercury will pass through the heart of the sun. Okay, again, this is explosive mental energy, and we do not get Mercury sun cazimis in Gemini very often. This does not happen every single year. Okay, so this is unique because it's Mercury in its home sign of Gemini, being positively supported by the sun, also in Gemini. Okay, so again, great conversations, great for writing, great for learning, great for teaching. So yeah, the whole like last week of May, like sign up for something, learn something during that time because it's just such potent energy. You're going to learn so much. You're going to appreciate the knowledge so much. Yeah, and pay attention to the conversations you have the end of May because they're probably going to be significant in some way. Okay, and two, if you have anything around 8 degrees, again, of mutable signs, I would note that because that's a day where you're just going to have like such mental clarity that I would take advantage of if that's you. Okay, everyone. So that is May. I would say the first half of the month is pretty mellow for the most part. I think once we get to that full moon in Scorpio, things might start kind of changing again. We might have things come up. And then of course, later, then we're going to have that Jupiter square to the nodes. That could bring up things. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully it's not as turbulent as freaking April was, because April was just too much. And we'll see what happens when Saturn moves into Aries. We'll see if it calms down some of the instability or if it just brings its own Aries problem to us. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, any questions? Nope, okay, everybody's ready, everybody's prepared. Okay, but take advantage of the fun Gemini stuff and all that intellectual stuff. That's really good this month. Okay, everyone, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Tara. See you.